So this is going to be your first ECA review at home, so it's going to be mostly chapters 1 through 3 on this one. Okay, so we're going to start off kind of difficult. So when we do things, when we multiply things with the same base, we add their exponents. When we divide things, we subtract their exponents. When we have power to a power, so we have those exponents to each other, we multiply them. Whenever I have a negative exponent, I have to do my bunk beds. So what I'm going to do is, one, I could move my negative exponents around, or I could just distribute this 2 right off the bat. So I'm going to distribute the 2 right off the bat. So I got to distribute to everything, and since everything already has exponents, I don't have to add 1s to anything. So I'm going to have x to the negative 4, y to the negative 6 over y to the negative 2. Okay, now I got to move things around because I can't have negative exponents. So my x and y are dropping, and this y is coming up. So I'm going to have y squared over x to the 4th, y to the 6th. Okay, so now we got to do our y's here. We can combine those. So 2 minus 6 is negative 4. So if I have y to the negative 4 over x to the 4th, this will need to drop, so I got 1 over x4, y4. So whenever you subtract things, because we're dividing, it always goes on top, and then if it's a negative exponent, you got to make sure you drop it. Okay, so this next problem here, I have to add a 1 to this too, because I had to make sure everything has its power or its exponent. So now I can distribute this negative 2, so I'm going to get 2 to the negative 2, x to the negative 4, because remember, power to a power we multiply, and then we got to make sure we drop them. So I got 1 over 2 squared x to the 4th. Well, we can take 2 squared, that's 2 times 2, so 1 over 4 x to the 4th. So that's my answer for this one. So those are my 2 answers. So if you're having problems doing these, and you're having problems remembering all of the steps and which one goes with which, I would recommend going back and studying what power to a power is, when you multiply things with the same base, and stuff like that. Okay, so if I don't see a power, I add 1s. So when I'm dividing, I subtract. So 4 minus 1 gets me x cubed. 2 minus 1 gets me y1. Okay, I can distribute this 2. So I'm going to get x to the 0, y, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. Well, anything to the 0 power is 1, so now I got y to the 4th over y to the 8th. 4 minus 8 gets me negative 4, but I got to drop it because it's a negative exponent. So I got 1 over y to the 4th. Okay, 2 to the 4th, that's the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4, 16. Okay, this we're solving for x. So we need x on one side and our numbers on one side. So I'm going to add 2x, get 5x plus 2 equals negative 8. Subtract 2. So I got 5x equals negative 10. Divide by 5, x equals negative 2. Okay, the way you can check it is plug this back in for your x's and see if the two sides equal each other. A lot of the problems on the ECA, you can check your answers. So if you finish early, go back and check them. Okay, so we're solving for m. So I'm going to add 7m to both sides because you do whatever the opposite is to get rid of it on that one side. So I got 10m plus 8 equals 18. To get rid of it on this side, I got to subtract it. So 10m equals 10. I'm multiplying, so the opposite is dividing. So 10 divided by 10 is 1. Again, you can plug it in and check it. Okay, this is just using the distributive property. So we're going to distribute this negative 4, so I'm going to get negative 4a minus 12. Okay, again, using the distributive property, 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times j is 5j, and you still have that subtraction sign. And then we have 2j minus 3. We can have these parentheses go away because there's nothing that needs to be changed. There's no negative that needs to be distributed, and there's no number that's being distributed. Okay, now we can combine like terms. So negative 5j plus 2j is negative 3j, and 10 minus 3 is 7. So that's my answer. Okay, using the distributive property, we distribute the negative, so we'll get negative 14 minus x. Distributing the negative again, two negatives make a positive, so that becomes a positive 8, and then a positive 6t. Distribute my negative again, so we get negative f minus 3g, two negatives make a positive, so plus 7. And nothing can be combined because none of them have the same base. Okay, now we're combining our like terms. So I can combine my x cubes because they're the same. They have the same exponent and they have the same base that I can combine. So x cubed, 8x cubed plus 6x cubed is 14x cubed. And remember, when we're adding and subtracting things with the same base, the exponents never change. It's only when we're multiplying or dividing. And then we got our minus 10x squared plus 2. Okay, I always want to make sure it's written in standard form. Standard form is highest exponent to lowest exponent, so your answer should always be in standard form. Okay, if I see all numbers, I know I have to use PEMDAS. Okay, so do I see any parentheses? No. Do I have any exponents? No. I do have multiplication, so I'm going to take 2 times 8 to get 16. I have division, so 16 divided by 4, and then I have my addition, so 7. Okay, we're going to distribute both of these, so I'm going to get 6 times 1 is 6, 6 times x is 6x. This I'm distributing a negative 3, so I'm going to get a negative 3x and a negative 9. Don't forget the negatives. Okay, now I combine my like terms, so 6x minus 3x is 3x, and 6 minus 9 is negative 3.